Breaking news. King Charles has just smashed 300 years of royal silence with 7 words that left Starmer absolutely stunned in Parliament. The Prime Minister's face went pale as a ghost. MPs gasped loud enough to shake Westminster's rafters. And what followed kicked off the biggest UK constitutional crisis since the abdication of Edward VIII. If you want to see how this madness unfolds, smash that subscribe button right now, because the next 72 hours could decide Britain's political future forever. So here's how this unbelievable showdown began. Yesterday at precisely 2:47 p.m. during Prime Minister's questions, Keir Starmer went off on one, launching a vicious tirade against Reform UK's surge in the polls. His words were dripping with venom. Those who dismantle our institutions and drag Britain backward deserve nothing but contempt. But this time, King Charles wasn't having it. The monarch did something no reigning sovereign has dared to do since Queen Anne in 1708. He sent a personal royal message straight to the Speaker of the House. Read aloud in the chamber itself. That one act flipped the entire political establishment on its head. The moment itself, already legendary. Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle stood there, gripping a cream-coloured envelope stamped with the royal seal. The whole place went dead silent. Every MP, aide and journo in the press gallery knew history was about to unfold live. Hoyle's voice wavered slightly as he read the words. His Majesty the King wishes to remind all members that constitutional balance demands mutual respect between Crown, Parliament and people. Recent rhetoric risks damaging that balance irreparably. Then came 7 extra words that, according to insiders, made Starmer visibly flinch. History judges those who forget this fundamental principle. The King had just publicly humiliated a sitting Prime Minister, something unthinkable in modern British politics, and the fallout was instant. Within minutes, social media blew up. Within an hour, the pound dipped 1.3% against the dollar. Within 3 hours, Labour's WhatsApp groups were absolute carnage, total meltdown. According to senior Labour MP Sarah Jones, the mood inside the party was pure panic mixed with fury. Off the record, she admitted, "We've never seen anything like this. A king publicly putting a prime minister in his place. This is constitutional warfare." Starmer's reaction in the chamber instantly became the defining image of his collapsing premiership. Every second caught live on camera. His jaw tightened. His hands clenched the dispatch box so hard his knuckles turned chalk white. For 17 excruciating seconds he said nothing, just stood there, frozen, while MPs on both sides of the aisle watched him fall apart in real time. When he finally spoke, his voice cracked. "I thank His Majesty for his contribution to constitutional discourse." That week, trembling reply told the whole nation what they already knew. Starmer had been politically checkmated. Tory MPs burst out laughing. Labour's front bench looked ready to vanish through the floor. Even the Speaker had to call for order 3 bloody times. The UK political landscape has never looked this unstable. And whether you're Team Crown or Team Commons, one thing's certain, the monarchy just reminded everyone who still holds the real power in Britain. Political journalist Tom Harwood dropped a bombshell on X, tweeting, "I've covered Westminster for 15 years. I've never seen a Prime Minister so utterly humiliated in the chamber." That post blew up, 890,000 views in just 90 minutes, and it perfectly captured the chaos inside. UK politics right now. But hold on, because there's a twist that makes this whole fiasco even more brutal. Multiple Westminster insiders have confirmed that Starmer's team knew this was coming. Palace aides had quietly sent informal warnings through back channels a full 48 hours earlier, suggesting the Prime Minister tone it down when talking about Reform UK and constitutional matters. Starmer brushed off every single warning. His Chief of Staff Sue Gray reportedly urged him to issue a short, respectful statement, reaffirming loyalty to the monarchy. Starmer flat out refused, calling it a sign of weakness. Now that arrogance has cost him everything, one former Labour strategist told The Telegraph, "This is what happens when you surround yourself with yes-men who never challenge your worst instincts." Starmer didn't stumble into this disaster. He marched straight into it, eyes wide open. Meanwhile, real Britons, the ones who actually served this country, are being left to rot. British veterans who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, who literally built this nation with their blood and sacrifice, are now struggling to access basic NHS healthcare. Take John Morrison. A 64-year-old Falklands veteran from Manchester. He's been waiting 18 months for a hip replacement. He told local reporters he cries from pain every night, relying on 4 different painkillers just to sleep. "I served this country for 22 years, Morrison said, his voice breaking. "And now I can't even get the treatment I need." His daughter later posted a heartbreaking video of him trying to walk to the corner shop, grimacing with every step, stopping 4 times in just 200 yards. That clip's now hit 6.7 million views and counting. And yet, while men like him suffer, Labour MPs, most of whom have never worked a proper day in their lives, get fully funded healthcare perks worth thousands. Private doctors, subsidised prescriptions, instant specialist access, annual health screenings, all of it paid for by you, the British taxpayer. Shadow Health Secretary Victoria Atkins revealed the full scale of it: $8,400 per MP per year in healthcare benefits, completely covered by the public purse. The contrast is obscene. So obscene, in fact, that even lifelong Labour loyalists are calling it a national disgrace. Former Labour councillor Margaret Harris from Liverpool posted a video that's now past 4.2 million views. "I've voted Labour my entire life. But I can't defend this anymore. Our veterans suffer while politicians live like royalty." In Newcastle, 23 veterans held a silent protest outside Labour HQ. Their signs showed the faces of fallen comrades with one message that shook the internet. "They died for Britain. We can't even see a doctor." The images, proud veterans, some in wheelchairs, others on walking sticks, standing in the pouring rain while Labour officials hurried past without even a nod, went massively viral. It became the living symbol of everything broken in modern British politics. But then, out of nowhere, came a move no one saw coming. King Charles shattered 70 years of royal protocol with a calculated, quiet, but devastating manoeuvre. At yesterday's state opening of Parliament rehearsal, normally a private, closed-door ceremony, the King did the unthinkable. He personally invited 3 guests: Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, and Lee Anderson. The private meeting lasted 90 minutes inside Buckingham Palace, and what Charles reportedly said during that conversation sent shockwaves through Westminster. "The future of British democracy depends on listening to voices from every corner of our nation." He deliberately emphasised the word "every palace." Insiders say the King specifically asked detailed questions about Reform UK's proposals on immigration, healthcare and constitutional reform. He took notes. He asked follow-ups. He treated them not as fringe agitators, but as legitimate representatives of millions of British voters. This wasn't just a royal gesture. It was a strategic message to the entire establishment that the Crown is watching, listening, and refusing to be sidelined in a political system that's lost touch with its own people. The optics are absolutely brutal for Starmer. While the Prime Minister's busy taking swipes at political rivals, the King's out here delivering a masterclass in dignity and statesmanship. Senior Conservative MP Sir Graham Brady called it a proper lesson in constitutional leadership. Meanwhile, the mainstream media scrambled to play it off as routine protocol. But come on, anyone with half an eye on Westminster knew better. This was King Charles drawing a line in the sand. Dr. Eleanor Shaw, a constitutional historian, told the BBC, "The King is reminding Parliament that the Crown represents all British people, not just the party in power. It's subtle, but it's a devastating rebuke to Starmer's divisive rhetoric. And that's where things get properly spicy, because Charles didn't stop there. Multiple palace insiders have confirmed the King personally phoned 5 senior Labour MPs whose constituencies have large veteran populations. He asked about NHS access for ex-servicemen, about housing for military families, about whether Britain's heroes were being forgotten. Those private calls sent shockwaves straight through the Labour benches. The King was bypassing Starmer entirely, building bridges directly with the backbenchers. That's not just breaking royal protocol, that's political chess at the highest level, and then came the market meltdown. The FTSE 100 nosedived 187 points in just 45 minutes as investors panicked over political instability. 2.7 billion was wiped from London markets before trading finally stabilised. Currency traders dumped sterling, sending the pound crashing to a 7-month low against the euro. Within hours, Major investment banks issued red alert warnings about UK political risk. Goldman Sachs even downgraded Britain's growth forecast by 0.4%, citing unprecedented constitutional uncertainty. Inside Labour, panic turned to mutiny. MPs in marginal constituencies started quietly distancing themselves from Starmer's leadership. David Williams, MP for Wrexham, publicly said he disagreed with the Prime Minister's confrontational approach to constitutional matters. That's Westminster code for, "I'm about to jump ship." By midnight, 7 more Labour MPs had released similar statements, each one another nail in the coffin of Starmer's collapsing authority. Then came the international fallout. French President Emmanuel Macron called for respect for constitutional tea. Traditions across Europe, diplomatic speak for a slap on the wrist. Canada's Prime Minister praised the enduring wisdom of constitutional monarchy in maintaining democratic balance. Even in America, commentators piled on. CNN called it an extraordinary public rebuke that threatens Labour's entire agenda. Fox News ran a viral headline, "Britain's Prime Minister humiliated by King." That segment alone pulled 3.1 million views in 24 hours. Online, it exploded. The hashtag #King Charles was right trended globally for 6 straight hours, hitting number 1 in the UK, Canada and Australia simultaneously. And then the streets erupted. Across Britain, protests broke out as crowds waved Union Jacks and banners reading "Defend the Crown" and "Starmer must go." In London, around 12,000 people gathered outside Parliament. In Manchester, another 8,000 marched through the city centre. Birmingham, Leeds, Glasgow, Cardiff, same scenes everywhere. A YouGov emergency poll dropped late that night, showing 71% of Britons believed the King acted appropriately, while just 19% backed Starmer's response. Among voters over 55, Starmer's supposed stronghold, his approval rating collapsed to 14%. That's not a dip, that's a nosedive. Then came the real gut punch. Labour's internal polling leaked to The Sun, showing the party would lose 23 of its 25 most marginal seats if an election were held today. Inside 10 Downing Street, the mood was pure panic. Ministers whispered about chaos and paranoia. One insider described it as like watching a slow-motion car crash. Chancellor Rachel Reeves allegedly told colleagues, "He's lost the plot, and he's dragging us down with him, pity." PM Angela Rayner was overheard saying, "I never signed up for a war with the monarchy." Foreign Secretary David Lammy reportedly confided to MPs, "This is worse than anything I've seen in 20 years of politics. We look like extremists attacking the one institution that still holds this country together." Labour WhatsApp groups, titled Reset Strategy and Damage Limitation, are now buzzing non-stop with talk of leadership challenges. The question isn't if they'll move against Starmer, it's when they'll have the numbers. One cabinet minister told The Times anonymously, "We're watching a prime minister destroy himself, and the party, in real time. Something's got to give." Starmer himself looked completely rattled during yesterday's emergency cabinet meeting. Sources say he barely spoke for half an hour. The trademark confidence? Gone. When he finally did speak, witnesses described his tone as hollow, defensive, almost desperate. He tried to blame his comms team for not warning him, then claimed the King had been manipulated by Tory insiders. Nobody bought it. One minister later told aides, "He's delusional. He actually thinks this is everyone else's fault. But here's the real kicker, the layer that could finish him off completely. Leaked Labour documents now show the party's own internal polling predicting catastrophic losses in the next general election if this constitutional crisis carries on, and if the numbers are right. This isn't just a PR disaster. It's the beginning of the end of Starmer's premiership, live, unravelling before the entire world. If these leaked documents are legit, and if they say what senior Labour insiders claim, then the party's staring down electoral annihilation on a scale worse than 2019. Think about that for a second. Labour could actually drop to third, place behind Reform UK for the first time in British political history. The once mighty red wall that took decades to build, gone for good. Dozens of marginal seats across England flipping red to blue, or worse, to Reform. Working-class voters who gave Labour one last chance after the Tory implosion, they'll never trust the party again. The optics of that would be absolutely catastrophic. According to these leaked reports, Labour's own internal modelling predicts a loss of 147 seats if a snap election were called today. That's not a defeat, that's a political massacre. The documents allegedly reveal campaign chiefs warning that Starmer's personal approval rating has crashed to 23%, lower than Boris during Partygate, lower than Liz Truss during her mini-budget meltdown, lower than any Prime Minister in the history of British polling. Multiple senior MPs have apparently seen the data, and privately, they're preparing for a leadership transition. Betting markets have already turned. Starmer's now got just a 31% chance of surviving as Labour leader until Christmas. Meanwhile, Angela Rayner's odds of becoming Prime Minister by March have shortened to 4-1. The smart money says Starmer's finished, and while he's floundering, Nigel Farage is playing this crisis like a political sniper, calm, precise, lethal. While Starmer fumbles, Farage looks statesmanlike. We don't need to attack the monarchy. To fix Britain's problems, he declared at a Reform UK rally in Birmingham that drew 4,500 supporters, the largest political gathering outside an election campaign in 5 years. We need leaders who respect our institutions while demanding they work for ordinary people. The crowd went absolutely mental. 43 seconds of non-stop applause. Farage's speech hit 2.1 million YouTube views in under a day. And the polls, they're jaw-dropping. Reform UK surges to 28%, overtaking Labour at 24%, for the first time ever. The Conservatives sit at 31%, meaning no one's got the numbers for a majority. For the first time in modern history, Britain could be staring down a Conservative Reform coalition, with Farage as Deputy Prime Minister, or even a Reform minority government propped up by Tory votes. Farage isn't just winning the media war, he's positioning himself as Britain's next kingmaker. Professor David Reynolds, political analyst at Sky News, put it bluntly. Farage has gone from protest politician to legitimate power broker. If these numbers hold, he'll be sitting in cabinet within a year. And the money's already following the momentum. Major donors are flooding Reform UK with cash. The party's raised £3.2 million in just 48 hours since the King's intervention. Membership applications crashed the Reform UK website twice yesterday. Disillusioned Tory voters, sick to death of broken promises, are flocking to Reform en masse. And working-class Labour voters, the ones who feel completely abandoned by Starmer's metropolitan elite politics, are finding a new home under Reform's promise to put British workers first. The next 96 hours are absolutely critical. Britain's political future is on a knife's edge. Parliament returns from emergency recess on Monday at 2:30 p.m. Starmer faces his own MPs in what insiders are calling a trial by fire, a private showdown that could end his career. At least 47 Labour MPs are reportedly ready to demand his resignation unless he apologises, not just to the King, but to the British people, and looming over it all, the King's annual address to Parliament, set for Wednesday at 11 Monsieur senior royal aides are hinting that Charles may use that platform to drive the point home, talking about national unity and respect for democratic institutions. Everyone in Westminster knows exactly who that'd be aimed at. Constitutional experts are already warning. If Starmer fires back with aggression again, it could force a formal Privy Council intervention, something Britain hasn't seen since 1834. Right now, we're literally watching the Crown and the government collide in real time. This isn't just another scandal. This is the kind of crisis political historians will study for decades, the moment a Prime Minister forgot one iron rule of British politics. In Britain, you don't fight the Crown and win. At the centre of this storm stands Keir Starmer, isolated, desperate and politically doomed. Not since the abdication crisis of 1936 has Britain faced such existential questions about the balance between monarchy and democracy. Back then, it was a king who lost his throne rather than battle Parliament. This time, it might be the Prime Minister who loses everything. History is being written right now, live, in real time, and Starmer's on the wrong side of it. So here's the question that every Brit should be asking. Does Starmer resign within the week? Or does he try to fight through this carnage? Did King Charles just end Starmer's career with 7 carefully chosen words? Or did he just trigger the biggest political realignment in 100 years? What do you reckon happens when Parliament kicks back into gear on Monday? Will the Labour lot finally turn on Starmer and give him the boot, or will they circle the wagons and pretend everything's fine while the ship's sinking? Drop your thoughts in the comments, mate. We actually read every single one. And if this bombshell rattled you as much as it rattled Westminster, share it everywhere, because the mainstream media won't give you the full story, but we bloody well will. Make sure you hit subscribe and smash that bell icon, because tomorrow we're dropping the leaked WhatsApp messages from senior Labour MPs that prove the coup against Keir Starmer isn't coming. It's already underway. This is the biggest UK political scandal of the decade, and you're watching it unravel in real time, right here, on the only channel brave enough to tell you what's really going down inside Westminster.